get out of renting. You know, we had often talked, oh, look at all the money, you know, that we're putting into renting if we could own. But we never really thought it would be possible, honestly.
I think to save ourselves from discouragement, you just put it off and you said, yes, perhaps, but way in the future.
The Bielbys had always rented, paying for the privilege of looking after someone else's place, Dave says. $1,200 a month plus utilities. But on Dave's modest salary as a Baptist minister, they'd come to believe they would never own.
Anything within our price range was needed a lot of work done on it, so and we didn't really want it to get into that. And we kind of had I had my dream anyways, you know, the little detached house with the picket fence, and but within our price range in this area, it didn't exist. We couldn't find it.
For first-time buyers, especially in the Greater Toronto Area, the dream of owning a home is often just that, a dream. With the average house prices in the $340,000 range, people with modest incomes face the prospect of never owning their own home. But an exciting concept is changing all that. It's called Options for Homes, and it's the brainchild of Michel Labbé. He's a professional planner who has spent the last 25 years developing affordable housing. He's come up with a concept that is putting home ownership within the reach of people who never thought they would be able to own.
This is the official launch of the development.
There you go.
Guildwood Village. What I like to think, oddly enough, is that the bottom line is, do you want to live in a good community? And you want to pay as little as possible to live in that community. That's the bottom line for options, is if we can put a building together that's a quality building that people will enjoy to live in and that they pay as little as is reasonable to live in those homes, then we've succeeded.
How does Options do it? The answer lies in its non-profit framework.
It's not part of the profit motivation to think of what the lowest price is. We work on a non-profit basis, so it eliminates the issues that relate to how do we maximize the profits. You know, what do we put in to sell it for the most in order to make the most money? The minute you stop thinking that way, everything changes.
Options is a private, non-profit corporation designed to make affordable home ownership available to low to moderate income people, although there are no restrictions on who can buy. Options finds the land and hires the companies to design and build the buildings.
Marco, now, ready, let's go.
Buyers are charged only the cost of building the unit. There is no profit margin. One way to achieve this is through eliminating the typical developer's costs and the frills. Here's how it works. To make housing affordable, Options saw that the typical lifestyle cell common to the condo market would have to go, which means the expensive amenities such as pools, gyms, and saunas that cost thousands of dollars per suite to provide and high monthly fees to maintain. Gone also were the pricey model suites, the high-priced advertising, and the hefty commissions to salespeople. In fact, Options invites its own purchasers to become their sales force, helping new buyers with their purchase decisions. They work out of simple rented venues like this church basement. They make no commission and work for a salary.
Which gave the buyers a real feeling of confidence. You're not getting salespeople, commissioned salespeople, who just want the signature on the bottom line.
One of the things that appealed to me was there was no selling frenzy. Nobody was calling me up the next day asking me if I had made a decision. It was all done on my terms, on my own time. That was a large part of my decision to buy, is that I never felt rushed.
And in fact, much of Options marketing is simply word of mouth. Adriana Molina bought from Options after hearing about them from her friend Martin Moudron and seeing how thoroughly he investigated the project going up at Allen and Lawrence. Nothing more than an empty government property at the time, and now an impressive condo that has made its mark on the site.
Like, I did buy because he did first. Otherwise, I will still be waiting. And I know, like, for him to buy already, he has a table with columns and rows and prices and comparisons. So, for sure, it was a very good decision to do, and I knew that there was not going to be a problem.
The comparisons that Martin made confirmed what Options promises. A quality home at an affordable price, made possible by eliminating the three key factors which drive prices up: the high-ticket amenities, the marketing costs, and the profit margin, in this way shaving $40,000 to $50,000 off each suite. It's an approach they've been taking to several new developments in the city for the past few years, like Weston Village, the Bielby's townhouse complex, which was Option's first project. With only a $7,000 down payment, they moved in 1998.
I don't think we would have been able to get into housing, you know, into buying a home, unless it had been for Options.
And this is now a sentiment shared by many others.
I'm fairly young and single and a woman. Without Options, I would not have had the chance. I just wouldn't have been able to afford it.
Brenda bought a small 400-square-foot bachelor suite at Shermount for $97,000. And Options made it possible for Robert Freeman to buy his two-bedroom suite also at Shermount.
I wanted to buy very much, and I heard about the Options concept. I think without that, I'd probably still be renting.
Shermount, a 430-unit townhouse and apartment complex, was completed in 2003. Just a few years earlier, Options built 3 condos at the historic Gooderham Ward site, then a vacant and barren spot with an undetermined future, and now a thriving cultural and entertainment center. The Liberty development at Pickering got underway in the spring of 2004. Then in the fall of 2004, ground was broken for the new Village at Guildwood townhouse and condo complex in Scarborough. Another townhouse complex, Old Kennedy Village, will be built on this spot here at Steeles and Old Kennedy Road in Markham. And the concept has spread to Montreal and Waterloo. Jan Chichura is Options affiliate in the Waterloo-Kitchener area. He says the most rewarding aspect of this project for him is the enthusiasm of the purchasers.
Before we came to town, they thought that home ownership was strictly out of their reach.
Jan has lived in Waterloo all his life. He heard about the Options concept and recognized a need that other developers in his community were not addressing. He persuaded Options to set up an affiliate there, which he now heads. The land that he acquired was a former 5-acre, down-at-the-heels, downtown school site, close to 2 universities.
All of these neighborhoods over the last 15 years have been gobbled up by student housing, and some of it on the ghetto side. So the town was very concerned in trying to stabilize this neighborhood.
The city liked Options' philosophy, that affordable ownership is one of the keys to a successful community.
Out of probably a dozen different developers that put bids on this site, the city fathers elected to pick Options for Homes because of our track record in Toronto.
The village at Brighton Park is now home to a mixed community of young families, singles, and seniors with modest incomes. The 15 fourplexes range from 650 to 1,200 square feet and cost between $80,000 and $125,000. They sold out in 4 months. The future is bright for further Options projects in his area, Jan says, because there's nothing comparable being built. The same is true in Collingwood. David Hughes heads Options affiliate in that community.
Being a developer, coming from the private sector, I went through all of the numbers. And I can tell you that they all make sense. Whereas rental housing, subsidized housing, just doesn't make sense. And really, in the long run, it's home ownership that wins.
Reid Rossi is past executive director of the Canadian Housing and Renewal Association, a national voice in providing affordable housing in Canada. He's also a member of the Ontario Municipal Board and an Options purchaser.
What they've done is envisioned creating homes that the average Canadian can buy into, and that can be done whether it's Toronto or Victoria or St. John's.
One of the keys to Options' success is that they work with buyers willing to take a chance on a neighborhood that is yet undeveloped but has great potential. Like this property, the site of the old Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation building, which had been sitting empty for several months. Options acquired the site under favorable conditions, paying off the land over time. So, you might well ask, why aren't other developers going after these properties?
The regular developers aren't pioneers. They want to build where they've been successful before, so they stay downtown. They stay in the core areas that have already sold at the kind of prices they're prepared to sell for.
The old Gooderman Worts distillery, close to downtown